Tanahk only sessions. Wakandra. Hey, what it do to the Shabbat? Wasn't no one checking on Moshe? Wasn't no one checking for Moshe? You might feel like ain't no one checking for you sometimes. Just remember, wasn't no one checking for Moshe. We're going to get this story again in the book of Yashar, HaWah. Just read it, with a dragonfly perspective and really understand who Moshe is and just go on this fantastic voyage. Rest in power, Coolio, you know what I'm saying? Hey, hop to Lakeside, man. We in Nagarville popping on. Wasn't no one checking for Moshe, man. Just no Israelite, man. Just his queen Zipporah. Kept him alive in the dungeon for 10 years. We got to read some backstory on Moshe, but first, Ahab to the dragons on the wall. Ahab to the Shabbat, Drop Nation, where you at? What it do? Let's talk about Moab first and just not miss this opportunity to see clearly about HaWah's mercy, HaWah's judgment, what it is, Moses was facing these pharaohs and these confederate tribes against Israel to bring him out of captivity after he got out the dungeon for 10 years. Let's read about it. Let's read about the powers that were being served. Whether we're talking Pharaoh, Egypt, whether we're talking Moab, and yet HaWah still loves Moab, at the end of all this, even Moab is freed out of captivity by the Creator. So there's even a portion of Moab that has to choose up. You know what I'm saying? So I want to bring this back to the unity. And, talk about Moshe's flow through this. Talk about Joshua's flow through this. HaWah ain't playing about the vibration. And it ain't all lean on me. You know what I mean? These Nagas was real Nagas. They didn't play about this other power stuff, man. All these holidays celebrating their powers. Let's read about it. Jeremiah 48. Let's pop off in the book of HaWah. Let's talk about some Joshua flow. Let's go, man. Tanahk only session. I hope you got your Sheila Jet popping off. Thus says HaWah, the power of Hasharah. Woe unto Nebo, for it is spoiled. Carithium is put to shame, it is taken. Misgab is put to shame and dismay. The praise of Moab is no more. In Heshbon they have devised evil against her. Come and let us cut her off from being a nation. Yeah. Thou also, O madman, shall be brought to silence. The sword shall pursue you. Hark, a cry from Horonaim. Spoiling and great destruction. Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. For by the ascent of Luhith, With continual weeping shall they go up, for in the going down of Horaniam they have heard the distressing cry of destruction. Flee, save your lives, and be like a tamarisk in the wilderness. For because you have trusted in your works and in your treasures. See, they trust in their magic science. And when we talk about Moab today, for the Moabites that know they're Moabites, I mean, the majority of them, it seems at this point have gone into, I guess you would call it captivity. I mean, they don't have their castles, and I mean, unless you're talking about certain families, they ain't got all their land. You know what I mean? It seems that something happened to switch, uh, the process, of slipping and sliding and not being touched, the process of slithering around with treaties. Something happened to slow that or flip that. Maybe not on all, but, you know, possibly on a good majority. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good question. Is Moab in captivity? Well, for the average Moabite that is just going to they temples and doing their magic sciences, perhaps to them they're in captivity. Perhaps to them they've been spoiled. Their land has been taken, right? They feel like the tail and not the head, right? Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. For by the ascent of Luhith, with continual weeping, shall they go up. For in the going down of Horanaim, they have heard the distressing cry of destruction. Flee, save your lives, and be like a tamarisk in the wilderness. For because thou hast trusted in thy works and in thy treasures, thou also shalt be taken, and Chemosh shall go forth into captivity, his priest and his princes together. See, this Kamash connects to their deity, connects to their Baal. See, the problem with these other Negroes, they would be called Negroes as well, is that a lot of them are still connected with their ancestral powers. So when you want to unite as black folk under the banner of black, under the banner of Aboriginal or whatever, you have a lot of tribes with their ancestral gods and powers still connected. They're still venerating and, doing they celebrations to this stuff. And two can't walk together unless they agree on the most basic fundamental power, the great power, the same great power that has mercy on them. See, I'm normally talking to Israel. Right now I'm talking to Moab. The Most High got mercy even on you. When you didn't have mercy on us, when you made a confederacy against us, when you signed treaties on the headbone of Dragon Canoe, the Kumse and the Shikamawa, even in the betrayal that led to the invader having the hooks in to a Naga. You let the invader put the hooks in on a Naga because you was tied into King Charles and him, right? Old Charlesy boy, black ass King Charles, Holy Roman Emperor, black ass King Charles. You moving with permission of the Pharaoh, Khan, slithering around, migrating Indiana, migrating, yeah, damming up the place, walking around your cubes, This ain't natural. That's Atlantis talk. And that's why you're moving around with permission of the Pharaoh. Because the Pharaohs popped off in Atlantis. But I'm sorry, this ain't Atlantis. I mean, this would be an area that you would call your Maxim Atlantis in your Hammond Kush vestige. Your vision of Hammond Kush. Nah, man, that's hijack city over here. Because over here there's order, and Joshua delivered the land and divided the land for the tribes and went to war against all hijack with the power of HaWah, the great spirit, Halal HaWah, the same great spirit that you must be forgiven from. And who even says here at the end, at the very end, I'm going to turn the captivity of Moab, man. I'm not going to let them go into captivity forever. Just like Lot was taken care of. Even by Abraham, Lot was always taken care of. But Lot wasn't happy with his lot. He wanted more land, more jurisdiction. This was about covetous. This was about jealousy. This was about false witnesses. This is about putting the power before your power. They talking the Chemosh talk, verse 8, Jeremiah 48. And the spoiler shall come upon every city, and no city shall escape. The valley also shall perish, and the plain shall be destroyed. As HaWah has spoken, give wings unto Moab, for she must fly and get away, and her city shall become a desolation without any to dwell therein. Just go to Moab, Utah. Yeah, where's your cities? This is why, to some degree, they are in captivity with us today. And we don't know who's who. We just got to ride off vibration and dodge all hijack at all costs. Hey, hop to the bro, natural by law. Aqua type battle, Ben told you to dodge your own hijack. Don't come over here with your hijacks, man. You got to dodge your own damn hijack. Get your hijack out the way. Don't come over here with your Chemosh. Verse 10, cursed be he that does the work of HaWah with a slack head, man. We got to pop off. But let's look at the context, man. What work of HaWah? Because we talking about the work of HaWah. What work of HaWah are we talking about? Cursed. If you are not doing this work with haste, right? If you're doing this work with a slack hand, cursed. What work? What work, man? And cursed be he that keeps back his sword from blood, man. Whoa, whoa. Now we on our Joshua flow. Now we getting the land in blood. Yeah, this is a blood oath. You got your commandments. They made blood sacrifices with the lambs and the goats and all that stuff, right? You swore to KTC on the land, or else you got no land and you in captivity. You forgot the KTC. You wanted to go after other powers. You forgot about HaWah. HaWah that led you on the battlefield. And if you had to get it in blood one time, I don't know what the future holds, but my noggin, suit up. And don't have no slack hand when it's time to pop off for the creator. Nine Spiral take the wheel. He stay ready, man. Nine Spiral stay ready, man. Love to the bro. Hey, man. Yosef, what it do? Another eye. Dizzle Fitty, man. My eye. These eyes stay ready around here. Yeah, man. For HaWah, we stay ready. Moab has been at ease from his youth. Oh, man, you had it easy. You had it easy, Moab. And he has settled on his lees. He has not been empty from vessel. Ain't nobody broke you, man. You ain't been broke. Nobody broke your ass, man. You never been emptied from vessel to vessel. Neither has he gone into captivity. Let me drink my Sheila shit. Call it volcano juice, man. Dragon juice. Neither has Moab gone into captivity. So at this point, whenever this is written, Moab was taking it easy from their youth. Never been, has not been emptied from vessel to vessel. Neither has he gone into captivity. You didn't know our pain, but it wasn't your fault. We brought it on ourselves by being out of code. That opened it up for you and your power to get the underhooks on the knot, to get inside position on the knot. Neither has his taste remained in him, and his scent is not changed. Man, you don't know what that slavery like. You ain't been behind the wall. You don't know what that scent is, man. You had it easy from your youth. You never gone into captivity. Neither has he gone into captivity. Therefore, behold, the days come, says HaWah, that I will send unto him them that tilt up, and they shall tilt him up, and they shall empty his vessels, break his pockets, and break their bottles in pieces. And Moab shall be ashamed of Chemosh. Moab, you're going to be ashamed of these false idols, these false powers of your ancestors. You're going to feel that shame, Moab. As the house of Israel was ashamed, man. It all comes back to us, don't it? It always comes back home, right? Of Bethiel, their confidence. Oh, you were confident in your Bethiel, huh, Israel? Now you're ashamed, just like Moab. How say you? We are mighty men. Are you feeling yourself? You feeling yourself, Moab? We're mighty men. We got magic sciences. We're tapped into the Simon the Necronomicon. We're tapped into Leviathan power. We're seeing clearly. We're getting younger. We're eating dragon. Yeah, we know. You eating dragon. We're using magic sciences. We are mighty men and valiant men for the war. Moab is spoiled, and they are gone into her cities, and his chosen young men are gone down to slaughter, says the king, whose name is HaWah of hosts. The calamity of Moab is near to come, and his affliction hastens fast. Bemoan him, all you that are round about him, and all you that know his name. Say, how is the strong staff broken, the beautiful rod? O thou daughter that dwells in Dibon, come down from your glory, sit in thirst, for the spoiler of Moab has come up against you. He has destroyed your strongholds. An inhabitant of Oror, stand by the way and watch. Ask him that fleeth, and her that escapes. Say, what has been done? Moab is put to shame, for it is dismayed. Wail and cry. Tell you it in Arnon, or say it with me, Ania. See, I love when the recon catch up with the script flow, you know. Tell you it in Ania that Moab is spoiled, and the judgment is come upon the country of the plain, upon Helon, upon Jazah, and upon Mepath, and upon Dibon, and upon Nebo, and upon Beth Dibla Theaim, and upon Karatha Aim, and upon Beth Gamul, and upon Beth Meon, and upon Kerioth, and upon Bozrah, and upon the cities of the land of Moab far and near. The horn of Moab is cut off, and his arm is broken, says HaWah. Make you him drunken, for he magnifies himself against HaWah, and Moab shall wallow in his vomit, and he also shall be in derision, for was not Israel a derision unto you? Yeah, you looking at us in derision. Didn't we look crazy to you? Oh, now you look crazy. Was he found amongst thieves? For as often as thou speak of him, thou waggest the head. O you that dwell in Moab, leave the cities and dwell in the rock, and be like the dove that makes her nest in the sides of the pit's mouth. We have heard of the pride of Moab. He is very proud. His loftiness, his pride, his haughtiness, and the assumption of his heart. I know his arrogancy, says HaWah, that it is ill-founded. His boastings have wrought nothing well-founded. Oh, they boast about their magic sciences. Their knowledge they boast. Their hidden secrets. Their degrees of understanding. You don't get the sciences, brother. He is very proud. His loftiness, his pride, his haughtiness, and the assumption of his heart. Ain't nothing worse than an assumption making nigger that make assumptions for a living. Never know the truth because they're too busy making assumptions. I know his arrogancy, says HaWah, that it is ill-founded. His boastings have wrought nothing well-founded. Therefore will I wail for Moab. Yeah, I will cry out for all Moab. For the men of Hariz shall my heart moan. With more than the weeping of Jazar will I weep for thee, O vine of Sibmah. Thy branches passed over the sea. They reached even to the sea of Jazar. Upon thy summer fruits and upon thy vintage, the spoiler is fallen, and the gladness and joy is taken away, and from the fruitful field and from the land of Moab, and I have caused wine to cease from the wine presses. None shall tread with shouting. The shouting shall be no shouting. From the cry of Heshbon even unto Eliah, upon even unto Jahaz, have they uttered their voice from Zoar, even unto Zorah Naim, a heifer of 3 years old, for the waters of Nimrim also shall be desolate. So you're seeing, we're reading something called the judgment of Moab, to let you know that whether now or whether then, the heartbone of Moab did get visited by the Creator. And Moab has been humbled, then is humbled now, but will have to be humbled again if necessary until, they get in the good graces of the one that created them and realize all their false idols did not create them. We're still talking about natural ones, right? I mean, we know the Lot story, that wasn't real natural, how Moab was born, right? But HaWah still looked out. HaWah still looking out. And you can come from a chaotic environment and you could choose up. But all these false idols is chaos every time. Verse 35, moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, says HaWah, him that offereth in the high places and him that offers to his gods. Rule number 1, therefore my heart moaneth for Moab like pipes, and my heart moans like pipes for the men of Ker-Heriz. Therefore the abundance that he has gotten is perished, for every head is bald and every beard clipped. Whoa. So Israel weren't the only ones with beards? Even Moab got the beards? Oh, man. So you could have a beard, and we don't know if you Israel, or we don't know if you Moab? It's a lot of people rocking their beards, man. But every beard was clipped from Moab. Upon all the hands are cuttings, and upon the loins sackcloth, and on all the housetops of Moab, and in the broad places thereof, there is lamentation everywhere. For I have broken Moab like a vessel wherein is no pleasure, says HaWah. How is it broken down? Well, you. How has Moab turned the back with shame? So shall Moab become a derision and a dismay to all that are round about him. For thus says HaWah, behold, he shall swoop as a vulture and shall spread out his wings against Moab. The cities are taken, the strongholds are seized, and the heart of the mighty men of Moab at that day shall be as the heart of a woman in her pain. And Moab shall be destroyed from being a people, because he has magnified himself against HaWah. Terror and the pit and the trap are upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab, says HaWah. He that flees from terror shall fall into the pit, and he that gets up out the pit shall be taken in the trap. For I will bring upon her, even upon Moab, the year of her visitation, says HaWah. In the shadows of Heshbon, the fugitives stand without strength. For a fire is gone forth out of Heshbon, and a flame from the midst of Sion, and it devours the corner of Moab and the crown of the head of the tumultuous ones. Woe unto thee, O Moab! The people of Chemosh is undone, for your sons are taken away captive, and your daughters into captivity. Yet, listen up, Moab. I know it sounded all bad. It sounds all bad, but it's because you've been bad. We've been bad. We got to deal with it. You've been real bad, Moab. All these other powers, covetous towards your brothers, your sisters, stealing, killing, for longitude and latitude, treaties on treaties, bodies on bodies. How much bloodshed is on your hands? And even so, yet will I turn the captivity of Moab in the end of days, says HaWah. Wow. So just like we get saved, the code keepers and you also get saved. But those are the ones that drop the false powers and get in code with the Creator and not say, oh, that's an Israelite thing. No, that's a code thing. No power before your power. You have a great spirit, a great power, a most high over everything. A magnificent most high, ancient head of days. You don't need to tap in to these lesser powers and lesser frequencies that are no powers that can't save you. Because even you can get your captivity turned. You want your things back too? All right, but don't have no covetous on your heart bone. Don't get some power and start using it against the children of HaWah, of Jacob. Don't get some power and start using it against David. Don't be foolish. You got to be KTC, man. So that's where it starts, you know. We're going to take a journey, like I said, with the book of Jasher, Yashar, Hawashar, however you rock it. So when we talking about enforcers, you know, we got to talk about Moshe. When we talk about priest kings, for some reason, you know, when we in the script, we're reading about Moses, we don't ever get the king flow. We always get, you know, a priest. Well, you know, Aaron's the priest. So, you know, Moses ain't even the priest. But he's pushing the code, right? So he's a prophet. All right. So he gets the prophet flow. He doesn't get the priest flow. He doesn't get the king flow. But we can see clearly that a Khan is a priest. Khan, a Meshach Khan, a Moshe Khan means that Moses was definitely a Khan, definitely a priest. You know, maybe Aaron had certain priestly duties and all that, you know what I mean? But, you know, they rocked together like the Qum say, and the prophet, you know what I'm saying? As Khans, a priest is getting you back in code, not just performing ceremonial duties, but he's, you know, bringing that water to you. You know, Moses is very interesting, you know, obviously. You know, you can't say enough about Moshe. You know, Mexican is Moshe. Mexican, Moshe. Michigan, Mexican. Moshe is everywhere, especially Mossack in the Byzantine flow. Mossack, the founder, they call him. And they changed the name of the Byzantine city from Mossack to Mazzaka, then to what, Cappadocia and all that stuff. So there's a connection with the Mexican there, even the Mexican or the Mexican in Peru. In the Mexican language, they say went extinct about 100 years ago. So they were still speaking Moses. They were still speaking Mexican. I mean, it's very interesting. So, you know, we're trying to get a perspective, you know, get a context, especially knowing that Moshe wasn't no young man when he saved or was sent to save the children of Israel. He had a whole life. You know, they gave us their paintbrush of it, you know, in the canonized Tanahk. But, you know, this Tanakh only sessions, but we're going to get in this book of Jasher, man, because so much was taken out. So much was taken out. The Tanakh. We know in Deuteronomy 34 that all these cities are not just in America, but we're talking Utah. I mean, go back to our 2016 drop. You know, all this was found in Google Earth. All these cities, Pisgah, Jericho, Gilead, Ephraim, you know, all these cities, man. We we found was it Gold City or Gold Spike, Utah, which is where the land of Judah would be. We found a lot of things. Go get the drop. HaWah said to him, "This is the land which I swore to Abraham." Right? HaWah said, "This is the land I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Nowadays, people try to get some genealogies and find somebody in their family that lived somewhere on a land and then claim the land as if they have ancient heritage there. back in real time, your paperwork don't mean nothing. HaWah has sworn the land to the tribe. Now, the Gentile or someone outside the tribe is just going to try to first, graft themselves into the tree. That's the first thing they're going to do is say, yeah, okay, well, I'm Israel too. I'm part of the, this, seed of David, or, I'm a part of this covenant. They're going to try to graft themselves in. Once you expose their covetous heart, then, maybe they'll say, all right, well, I have these genealogical records that one of my grandfathers had this land, yada, yada, yada. They'll still try to grab, It's not until the covetous is out of them where they say, hey, this is your land, and I want to do everything I can to make sure you're all the code keeper you need to be. And when they do that, that's when they really win, because that's when they're really able to rock with us, when they're not covetous, jealous. It's one thing to love us, but when you really, wish you were us so much that it becomes toxic, you know what I'm saying? It's toxic. Because you end up hating on us to try to prove you have some equality with us, or prove that we don't exist no more, or it don't matter no more as long as you doing the right thing. And that's not how it works. Because your children are always going to be your children, even if they bad. Yeah, you might give your children's gifts to somebody else for a while, let them play in the playground, but they'll never be your children. And that's not wrong or crazy. That's a father-son. That's a mother-daughter. That's a mama-son. That's a father-daughter. The promise is for the children, for the remnant. If you can't deal with that, then you can't deal with that. But if you can see clearly, then you can help us build, help us be united. And only then can we think about uniting with anything else. But we have to give ourselves a hug, right? And once we KTC, the first thing we get back is our land. And this land has been sworn into Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So even Moab, is a seed of Abraham. But those pharaohs that they get permission from, they're not seeds of Abraham. They're not seeds of Shem, right? So this land got nothing to do with them whatsoever. Even though they still look like us, same complexion, right? Same everything. It's very specific. So some of the children of Abraham wanted what was Jacob's, you know what I'm saying? Some of the children of Isaac wanted what was Jacob. This is the covenant we're talking about. I will give it into your seed. It's a family. Your genealogies, paperwork. Yeah, it's good, to put some, connections for yourself together, but don't think it's going to give you the land of Jacob. Because you're cozy here. You're just cozy. It doesn't mean you're original here. And it doesn't mean that you have a promise from the Creator for that land. Don't covet your way into the land. It's not going to go well for you. Return the land to the children of Israel. Return the land to the seeds of HaWah. I have caused you to see it with your eyes. So Moses got to see it, right? But thou shalt not go there. All right, so that's a big mystery. There's a lot of debate on why. But then we know that Moses passed the frequency to Joshua, or as the indigenous flow would go, Quetzalcoatl, who in the book of The Beginnings by Gerald Massey wears a robe marked with a bunch of towels, crosses, towels, not JC, but the last letter of the Hebrew tau, which means the mark, the sign, the covenant. We're talking the covenant. Joshua wore a robe, Quetzalcoatl wore a robe marked with the covenant, who was passed, the drop from HaWah Mach. HaWah Mach passed it to Quetzalcoatl, who is Joshua, who got the drop passed by Moses. Now we're just getting a perspective before we get to Joshua. Let's go. So Moses, the servant of HaWah, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of HaWah, and he was buried in the valley of the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor, and no man knows of his sepulture, his location, his burial site. Nobody knows. But it's in the land of Moab, Judah, Judah, and Moses was 120 years old when he died. But did he die, or did he go into suspended animation? Like the Marvel, we'll get back on that Marvel flow. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated. We went over this many times. Abated means to be reduced. His natural force was not ever reduced, my noggin. How did he die if his natural force was never abated? Oh, wait, man. These are questions we can ask. It's just Tanahk only session. We just getting started, man. I miss going over the script with my noggins, so, taking a journey with y'all is day one. What we do here. Empty our cups, man. Fill our heart bones and allow Ama to flow through us all and use us to the best, that she sees fit, that our Father, has shaped us to be. Reach our full potential. It don't mean we perfect niggas. It don't mean, we got, all the patience in the world for BS. It don't mean you take advantage of us for trying to keep the code. Then you just think we extra sweet and extra nice. And nah, man, we real niggas, man. All right, we all going through stuff, man. Don't come over here abusing and taking advantage and knocking on my door asking for candy, man. Don't come over here with your entitlements. Don't come over here with your covetous. The frequency of hijack cannot hide. It's coming out. It's popping out of random niggas, man. And we all got to dodge our own hijacks, man. And just surf the wave, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to be there for you right now. I got my cup full, many times, many days, being there for my niggas, man. And a lot of people are as well. But we continue to get a bigger cup and do what we can to, be a presence for as many, as many challenges, that we can help our niggas overcome. But, don't wait on us, man. You choose up, man. You see what happens when you choose up. Maybe you go into suspended animation, man. When you choose up, you get stronger, get more confidence. And yeah, it's great to have a bunch of Nagas in your corner, but it's also great to know that you got HaWah. You don't got to be a false witness on HaWah and say, yeah, HaWah gave me all this wisdom. HaWah gave me, maybe you're lacking wisdom. Maybe you need to pray for it. Maybe we got to be humble. We just waking up, you just popping off. You don't got as much wisdom as you think you got. We all got to be humble. The children of Israel wept for Moshe in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping in the morning for Moses were ended. And Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom. Now he had that real Amma. He didn't have the Amma that people claiming they have today. Joshua had the Amma to make the sun stand still. Joshua had that Amma that, can part the Jordan, can part the waters. Joshua's wisdom is not your wisdom. Not in the same, completeness. We're getting a piece of Amma. Joshua had Amma. Dawid had Amma. Moshe had Amma. These are priest kings. These are presters. These are prester Johns, priest kings. For Moses had laid his hands upon him. Man, this is what the Christians get it from. The laying of the hands, man. This is what the Christians get it from, man. The laying of the hands. So Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of that Ruach because Moses laid his hands on him, Tanahk. Okay? And what happened next? And why did Moses have to lay his hands on him? I mean, why couldn't he just be full of the Ruach? You know what I'm saying? What was it about the laying of the hands? I mean, we ain't really talked about this. I haven't seen this discussed. Why did Moses have to physically lay his hands on him to pass that Ruach, to pass that spirit of wisdom? What kind of energy transfer is going on, Tanahk? And the children of Israel hearkened to him and did as HaWah commanded Moshe. And there has never not arisen a prophet since in Israel like Moses. Even Joshua can't stand up to Moses, right? Now they call Moshe a prophet. But did you know that Moses was a king? This is where the Jasher story, the Yashar, comes into flow. This is when we put it together. And with all this prophetic flow, you wonder, how come no one was checking for Moses? See, when Moses led the children out of out of Egypt, he had already, this story picks up after Moses got out the dungeon. After Reuel or Jethro, Zipporah's dad, put Moses in the dungeon and left him for dead. Then he got up and popped off. This is after he was already the king of Cush for 40 years. We're going to read it. He had been the king of Cush for 40 years. 40 years the king of Cush. He got an honorable discharge, then got thrown into the dungeon, left for dead. His sweet thing Zipporah keeps him alive. She's not even an Israelite, and she's the only one that checked for him, Tanahk. And you know, when he brought her back around the Israelite sisters, they said, oh, she ain't no Israelite, Moses. He said, she the only one that checked for me. Y'all better back. She the only one that had my back. Nobody else checked for the Khan. They call him a prophet. What about his kingship? What about him being a king, a priest king? And there have not arisen a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom HaWah knew face to face. This is a different type of magi when you know the Creator face to face, man. Face to face. Can't no one today say they know the Creator face to face and have that relationship with HaWah that Moses had. So how can you front on him and act like he's just some part of the Old Testament? And all the signs and all the wonders which HaWah sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land and in all the mighty hand and all the great terror which Moses wrought in the sight of all Israel. Let's go. So he passes his Ruach, the spirit of wisdom. He lays his hands on Joshua. Judges chapter 1. And it came to pass after the death of Joshua that the children of Israel asked HaWah, saying, who shall go up for us first against the Canaanites to fight against them? These will be Negro people as well, right? These are part of the Noble Drew Ali Confederacy, right? And HaWah said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. That's why you can't front on Judah. This is why Judah's, popping off first according to the order, so no one can boast. No one can boast over Judah. Order over chaos. Kandawi. Out the loins of Judah. I mean, it's not just about covetous with Moab. We had covetous in Israel. We had, tribes boasting themselves over Judah. And that's not the order HaWah created. And until we ready to listen and line up and shape up according to the shaper, we ain't ready. We'll continue to choose captivity. Because Yeezy said it, slavery is a choice. You must choose captivity if you're choosing something other than the order of HaWah. HaWah said, Judah shall go up. Behold, I have delivered the land into his hand. And Judah said unto Simeon his brother, come up with me into my lot. Where's the lot of Judah today? You gonna genealogy your way into the lot of Judah? It's the lot of Judah. He didn't need no paperwork. It's Judah's lot. Oh, trust me, it's gonna be real clear. Don't trip. It's gonna be so clear, don't even worry about it. Just know you gotta come up off that we may fight against the Canaanites, and I likewise will go with you into your lot. So Simeon went with him, and Judah went up, and HaWah delivered the Canaanites, the Perizzites, into their hand, and they smote of them in Bezek 10,000 men. And they found Adonai Bezek in Bezek, and they fought against him, and they smote the Canaanites and the Perizzites. Why? Why you think? Why are they fighting? Why are they performing HaWah's work? Judah had to go claim his lot. He took Simeon with him. He said, bro, let's go get this work. And I'm going to go in your lot, and I got you. I will go with you into your lot and put that work in too. And HaWah delivered it. The great creator, the great spirit, the most high over everything. They put that work in though. Yeah, Judah fought against all the hijacks in Jerusalem. Took it and smote it with the edge of the sword, set the city on fire. This is the type of energy they're afraid of when you start tribing up. They think the whole city's gonna be blazing. Afterwards, the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in the hill country and in the south and in the lowland. And Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before time was Karath Arba. And they smote Sheshai and Ahaman and Talmai. And this is why they mad. This is why they hate you. Because all they big wigs was taken down in order under Judah. In order under King Moshe, Joshua. Are we going to read about Joshua putting in that work as well? This is happening after the death of Joshua, but Joshua set it off. Matter of fact, let's get there, man. Joshua chapter 1, right? So, we're going to get to Jashar. I'm just getting some context. We just getting started. This Tanahk only sessions, man. This Tanahk only sessions. Let's go. Joshua chapter 1. I'm popping off. She lajet to quit. Now it came to pass after the death of Moses, the servant of HaWah, that HaWah spoken to Joshua, the son of Nun. So HaWah speaking to him. Now, are they face to face? 34 said, no one ever knew him face to face like HaWah. Like Moses. There have not been a prophet since in Israel, like unto Moses, who knew HaWah face to face. But HaWah speaking to Joshua, that's still good. That's still a strong connection, right? That's all he needs. After the death of Moses, right? Joshua got the juice. He got the ruah, the spirit of wisdom. And HaWah spoken to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister. So Joshua was Moses' minister. What does it mean? Saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore rise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them. Only HaWah can give you land, and in truth, only HaWah can take it away. Even to the children of Israel, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, to you have I given it. HaWah loves giving his children land, man. Hates taking it away. You got to remember that, man. HaWah loves giving you land, loves hooking you up, loves it, Ahabs it, hates taking it away, but has to take it away. Like you got to take away a toy from a bad kid. Take away their Xbox, PlayStation. Take away, they remote control cars or whatever they playing with, man. Take away, whatever, man. You know what I'm talking about. For us, that'll be land and our people, our priests, our protectors, our dragons. But every place the sole of your foot shall tread, to you have I given it, as I spoken to Moses. from the wilderness, this Lebanon, unto even the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, unto the great sea, towards the going down of the sun shall be your border. There shall not any man be able to stand before you all the days of your life, as I was with Moses. So I will be with you, Managa. Pay attention, because this is the way HaWah got your back. This is the way HaWah has David back, the seeds of David back, that are all being restored and redeemed. This is your redemption. This is how HaWah got the children. Even Moab, when they acting right. I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for you shall cause this people to inherit the land. Joshua. Quetzalcoatl brought his people to the promised land, promised to return and everything, which I swore unto their fathers to give them. Only be strong, my Nagas. HaWah's telling us to be strong and very courageous. HaWah's telling us to observe, which is the quantum. Now we're talking quantum. Observe the particle, collapse the wave pattern on what? Your land, man. Paradise. Observe. To do according to all the law, the code. We keep the code, which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Turn not from it to the right or left, that you may have good success, my nugget. Ain't that all we asking for? Ain't that all we praying for is success? Good success. Wherever you go, everywhere you go, you got good success. Because you keep the code, all the code. This book of the code, the law shall not depart out your mouth, but thou shalt meditate. To meditate on the code is to meditate on all the covetous you got in your heart towards your brothers, your sisters, whoever, co-workers. To meditate on your mouth and your assumptions to make sure you're not bearing false witness to something you know nothing about. To make sure you ain't worshiping and venerating any other powers and your children are free from this hijacked static frequency. You're meditating on how to purify yourselves, your harp on your frequency daily. How to not mix with nothing you shouldn't be mixing with, no adultery. How to honor your framing and shaper. This is what you're meditating on. How not to slay your brother. I want to do everything I can not to slay my brother, my sister. How not to, you know what I'm saying, break our Shabbat. How to keep our Shabbat. How to not put HaWah's name with vanity on it, man. How to not put our own breath and our own security in vain. This is meditation, day and night. If you want good success, that you may observe to do according to all that is written. And then thou shalt make your ways prosperous. Success, good success, prosperity. Wisdom is the conqueror of fortune, prospers. Mama, cold keeper. And then thou shalt have good success, because you're prosperous. Have not I commanded you? Be strong and be of good courage. Be not afraid, man. Don't be dismayed. Don't be shook. For HaWah is with you wherever you go. That's the word to Joshua, and that's the word to you, Managi. Because from that point on, Joshua's popping off. What does he tell the son? What does he tell the son? Joshua 10, verse 12. Then Joshua spoke to HaWah. Joshua speaking to HaWah in the day when HaWah delivered up the Amorites. Right? We just talked about Moab. Now we're talking about the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Son, stand thou still upon Gibeon. How can the sun stand still if you're spinning on a ball? I'll wait. Body bag. And moon, stand still in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still and the moon stood still, man. All right. Until they finished whooping up on these Amorites, man. And all these other hijacks, man. Until the nation had avenged themselves against their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? Well, you know what? That's a good question. I think we're going to start digging on the book of Jasher, man. I think it's time to start digging on Jasher. Hey, I like how that flowed, didn't you? Didn't you? You know, Moses asked why, when he was first asked to pop off, what should I call you? What should I call you? Exodus 3, verse 12, he said, certainly I will be with you, just like with Joshua, right? And this shall be the token unto you that I have sent you when thou hast brought forth the people, the tribe out of captivity. So when we get the book of Jasher, we're going to get what happened right before he broke you out of Egypt. He got you out of captivity, out of bondage. You shall serve HaWah upon this mountain. So before he brought you out of Egypt, he was in the dungeon for 10 years, man. We're going to talk about it. And Moses said unto HaWah, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, Hasharah, and say unto them, HaWah of your fathers, or the secure breath of your fathers, has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? And HaWah said unto Moses, I am that I am. Or HaWah, because I am is HaWah, to exist. Secure breath of security. I am. Thus shall you say unto the children, I am has sent me to you. Let me clarify. HaWah has sent me to you. Right? Right? Ka. Lexicon. Ka. I am who I am. I am that I am. I am Aya. Aya. What we know is H1961. Hey. Ha. Heya or ha. Getting close. Ha. Heya. So when they're saying this I am talk, according to the Strong's Concordance, they're just saying heya or ha. Because the closer we get to it, in etymology, was it etymology? Yeah, etymology, something like that. Here we go. Well, now they just say Yahweh. How they say Yahweh? Yeah. So by the time they get to their Aya or Awe or Yahweh, 1869 is when they're coming with their Yah, right? Hypothetical reconstruction. So they don't know. They're just putting something together. And they love to reverse everything. So if you reverse Yahweh, you get HaWah. But even further proof, based on the assumption of the tetragrammaton, is the imperfective. So they're letting you know it ain't perfect because they reversed it, of the actual Hebrew word HaWah. I can't make this stuff up. Always A-hop to the bro Lex for pointing us to the H1961 because it got us right into the hey-ah. But they gave you a hint with the HAW here, and then letting you know here with the HAW here that we're talking ha and we're talking wah. That ain't no deity. That is a primitive Hebrew verb to describe something indescribable, because the Creator's name can't really be described. HaWah is just telling you that I exist. Tell him I actually exist is what he's saying, in the sense of the one who is the existing. They said Heya, but the earlier form of Heya is HaWah, which is why the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph-Bet, you get your HaWah after you walk through the door, but you gotta walk gone. And without a house, without a floor plan, you ain't walking nowhere. You need your house in order. You need the strong power to put your house in order, to start your walk, your movement through the door, to get big mama, not man, mama with the breath, and your father with the security. Ha, or see the sound, breathe in, breathe. Feminine breath, mama, exhale. Wah, masculine breath. Wah. Tent peg means you are putting something into mama, right? Into the soil to secure the tent, to add security, to hook foundation, a foundational revelation. The real revelation is mama herself, to give you the look, to give you the breath. But you got to go through the door. You got to walk through it. You got to gather. You got to tribe up with your family, with your house, with your tribe. But you got one leader, one power, man. HaWah, who exists to get your cut off, nourishing food. To get your food before you get your wall. Before you start building for Joy World. And, surrounding the real ones, surrounding the right ones with the tech. That X, that covenant got to be surrounded, protected with a wall of protection. It takes a while to develop a wall of protection so you can worship together, my nine. Oh, the story continues, but you got to walk through the door. Halal HaWah. Fifth is just the fifth, sixth letter, HaWah. Their Yahweh, Yad, comes after you got your cutoff day, your cutoff food. Now you can talk about worshiping, which is beautiful. I love that, Yah. I love that, Yah. That Hebrew letter, that Hebrew sound is beautiful, but not when you try to replace it with the Creator's frequency of breath and security. When Strong's H1961 is leading you right to it, you just got to take a step further. You think they're gonna give you the Creator's name in the Strong's Concordance, or do you got to go further and say what's the earlier form of Heya, the Hebrew verb Hawah? And if that's the earlier form of Heya, well, then I am that I am, or Heya is Hawah, to exist. The one who is the existing, the one who has the secure breath. Because ain't no breath without security. Ain't no security without your breath. So you may exist and get the existing frequency like Joshua got passed by Moshe. Now he got the look. Now he got the breath. Now he's slicing and dicing, popping off, talking to the Creator, straight up, getting that food for the tribe, getting that land for the tribe, building the wall of security, breath of security, existence. Yeah, we're just talking to exist. HaWah said to Moses, we're talking Moshe, I am, or HaWah, who, or that, or which. HaWah, I exist. I exist who exists, man. In other words, I exist has sent you. Has sent, tell him I exist has sent you. Tell him I am has sent you. This is what you are to say. I am has sent you. HaWah has sent you. The one who is the existence, existing. HaWah. HaWah. You got the secure look. You got the secure breath. You got the foundational revelation. The foundational revelation has sent you, my Tanahk. I am HaWah. What is his name? What should I say unto them? And HaWah said unto Moses, I am HaWah, HaWah. Thus shall you say unto the children of Hasharah, HaWah. You got the secure breath, the secure existence, the foundational revelation has sent me unto you. And HaWah said, moreover, unto Moses, thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, HaWah, the power of your fathers, the power of Abraham, the power of Isaac, the power of HaWah, Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever. Don't take my name in vain. That's rule number 2. Don't take your secure breath. Don't take your revelation, added revelation. Don't take it in vain. Don't put vanity on your breath. You want vain breath? Then you ain't got no breath. You want vain security? Then you ain't got no security, which means you ain't got no look, which means you ain't got no hook. You ain't got no HaWah. Let's go. My name forever. He didn't say Yah. Nah, he didn't say Yah. because Yah in the sense of what they wanted to be used, which again, go reverse. The reverse of Yah is the Ha. Okay. Hey, right? Ha. Exclamation of defiance. So when they reverse the Ha, you're reversing the breath. When you reverse the Hey and you get Yah or Yay, you're reversing your revelation. You're reversing your look. You're reversing your breath, which puts you into a frequency of defiance. Not talking about the Yud or Yah. So, Yah Sharala, you could easily have a pure water frequency with the YA, but their YA is a duplicate. Remember the phantoms of duplications? They put a duplicate Yah, man. You just got to dodge which Yah they talking about. And their Yah that wants to claim the frequency of the Creator is an exclamation of defiance or dismissing HaWah. From 1812, my nigga. They weren't talking all this Yah in relationship with religion before that. Yahoo. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I am that I am. HaWah, HaWah. HaWah, HaWah has sent me to you. HaWah has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is my memorial unto all generations. Now we ready for Jashir, Yashar, Hawashar. Let's go. Chapter 70, Tanahk only section. Yeah, we just getting started, my nigga. We just getting started. Let's read it. I'm just gonna read it straight up and just let you enjoy the ride. Tribe Nation, Coon, Halal HaWah. Sheila Jit to quit. Let's go. I'll leave this link to this Jashar PDF, so just pull it up, pop off with a nut. Let's get it from here, chapter 70. And we just got a reference to it. What was it in? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Going too fast. So Joshua 10 said, is it not written in the book of Jashar? So clearly the book of Jashar is in the Tanakh. It's just been taken out, the Tanakh. That's why it's Tanakh only section. Chapter 70. And in the third year from the birth of Moses, Pharaoh was sitting at a banquet when Queen Alparanith was sitting at his right hand and Bathia at his left. And the lad Moses was lying upon her bosom. And Balaam, the son of Beor, with his two sons, and all the princes of the kingdom were sitting at the table in the king's presence. And the lad Moses stretched forth his hand upon the king's head, and took the crown from the king's head and placed it on his own head. You didn't hear this story before, huh? Not unless you got the drop. You ain't heard this part of the Moshe story? he was destined to be a king. That's when the stories of King David and Moses start to merge a little bit. And, in our advanced wave surfing classroom, we talk about the comparisons really between David and Moses, knowing that Moses is a king and David is a prester. Is Prester John the combination of both of these frequencies into a character that's been spliced apart? I'm saying? A priest kind. Moshe is a title. Dawid is a title. David. So he puts the crown on his own head bone. And when the king and the princess saw the work which the boy had done, the king and the princess were terrified. And one man to his neighbor expressed astonishment. And the king said unto the princes who were before him at the table, Who speak you? What speak you? And what say you, O you princes, in this matter? And what is to be judgment against the boy on account of this act? And Balaam, the son of Beor, the magician, answered before the king and princes, and he said, Remember now, O my lord and king, the dream which you did dream many days since, and that which your servant interpreted unto you. Now therefore, this is a child from the Hebrew children, in whom is the spirit of the Creator. Okay. And let not my lord the king imagine that this youngster did this thing without knowledge, for he is a Hebrew boy, and wisdom and understanding are with him, although he is yet a child. And with wisdom he done this, and chosen unto himself the kingdom of Egypt. For this is the manner of all the Hebrews, to deceive kings and their nobles, to do all these things cunningly, in order to make the kings of the earth and their men tremble. Surely thou know that Abraham their father acted thus, who deceived the army of King Nimrod. So they going in thick to try to, get some punishment against young Moses, right? Of Babel, and King Abel-Melech of Gerar, and that he possessed himself of the land of the children of Heth, and all the kingdoms of Canaan, and that he descended into Egypt, and said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister, in order to mislead Egypt and her king. And his son Isaac also did so, when he went to Gerar and dwelt there, and his strength prevailed over the army of Abimelech, king of the Philistines. He also thought of making the kingdom of the Philistines stumble, and saying that Rebekah his wife was his sister. Jacob also done they calling out names, just going down the line. Jacob also dealt treacherously with his brother, and took from his hand his birthright and his blessing. He went then to Paddan Aram in the house of Laban, his mother's brother, and cunningly obtained from him his daughter, his cattle, and all belonging to him, and fled away, and returned to the land of Canaan to his father. So in each of these accounts, they bearing false witness of something they were not witness to, just to try to paint a picture of deception and treachery. Verse 14, he then went, well, let's pick it up from verse 15. His sons sold their brother Joseph, who went down into Egypt and became a slave, and was placed in the prison from the prison house, and magnified him above all the princes in Egypt on account of his interpreting his dreams to him. And when HaWah caused a famine throughout the land, he sent for and brought his father and all his brothers and the whole of his father's household, and supported them without price or reward, and brought the Egyptians for slaves. Bought the Egyptians for slaves. Now therefore, my lord king, behold, this child is risen up in their stead in Egypt, to do according to their deeds, and to trifle with every king, prince, and judge, if it please the king. Let us spill his blood upon the ground. They just want blood. lest he grow up and take away the government from your hand, and the hope of Egypt shall perish after he reigns. And Balaam said to the king, let us moreover call for all the judges of Egypt and the wise men thereof, and let us know if the judgment of death is due to this boy, as thou didst say, and then we shall slay him. Sound like JC in the whole Christ story. Then he has to run from who's that, King Harold or whatever. And he runs into Africa. He runs into Egypt, right? Oh, man. Phantoms of duplication. Now they're trying to slay the baby Moses, right? And Pharaoh sent and called for all the wise men of Egypt, and they came before the king, and the angel of HaWah came amongst them. And he was like one of the wise men of Egypt. And the king said to the wise man, surely you have heard what this Hebrew boy who was in the house has done, and thus has Balaam judged in the matter. Now judge you also, and see what is due to the boy for the act which he has committed. And the angel and the dragon, who seemed like one of the wise men of Pharaoh, answered and said as follows before all the wise men of Egypt and before the king of the princes, if it please the king, let the king send for men who shall bring forth him an onyx stone. What does it mean? What's the onyx for? And the red hot coal, and place them before the child. And if the child shall stretch forth his hand and take the onyx stone, then shall we know that his wisdom has the youth done all that he has done, and we must slay him. But if he stretches forth his hand upon the coal, then shall we know that it was not his knowledge that he did this thing, and he shall live. So let's see how wise he is. And it seemed good in the eyes of the king and the princes. So the king did according to the word of the dragon of HaWah. And the king ordered the onyx stones and the coal he brought and placed before Moses. And they placed the boy before them. And the lad endeavored to stretch forth his hand to the onyx stone, but the angel of HaWah took his hand and placed it upon the coal. And the coal became extinguished in his hand. And he lifted it up and put it in his mouth and burnt part of his lips and part of his tongue, and he became heavy in mouth and tongue. And when the king and princes saw this, they knew that Moses had not acted with wisdom in taking off the crown from the king's head. So the king and princes refrained from slaying the child. So Moses remained in the Pharaoh's house, growing up, and HaWah was with him. Did y'all know this story? And while the boy was in the king's house, he was robed in purple, and he grew among the king's children. He was in the royal purple, right? And when Moshe grew up in the king's house, Bathia, the daughter of Pharaoh, considered him a son. So Pharaoh's daughter, not wife, his daughter took care of Moses. Okay, let's get the story straight. And all the household of Pharaoh honored him, and all the men of Egypt were afraid of him. And he daily went forth and came into the land of Goshen, where his brethren, the children of Israel, were. And again, this is the pre-story, before Exodus and all that, right? So, and Moses saw them daily in shortness of breath and hard labor. And Moses asked them, saying, why or wherefore is this labor meted out unto you day by day? And they told him all that had befallen them and all the injunctions which Pharaoh had put upon them before his birth. And they told him all the counsels that Balaam the son of Beor had counseled against them, and what he had also counseled against him in order to slay him after he had taken the king's crown from off his head. And when Moses heard these things, his anger was kindled against Balaam, and he sought to kill him. And he was in ambush for him day by day, And Balaam was afraid of Moses. Whoa, did y'all know about this? And he and his 2 sons rose up and went forth from Egypt, and they fled and delivered their souls. They betook themselves to the land of Cush, to King Kianus of Cush. And Moses was in the king's house, going out and coming in. And HaWah gave him favor in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants, and in the eyes of all the people of Egypt. And they loved Moshe exceedingly, all the people of Egypt, Manah. Did y'all know the story? And the day arrived when Moses went to Goshen to see his brethren. And they saw the children of Israel and their burdens and hard labor, and Moses was grieved on their account. And Moses returned to Egypt and came to the house of Pharaoh and came before the king. And Moses bowed down before the king. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, I pray you, my Lord, I have come to seek a small request from thee. Turn not away my face empty. And Pharaoh said unto him, Speak. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Let there be given unto your servants, the children of Israel, who are in Goshen, 1 day to rest therein from their labor. And the king answered Moses and said, Behold, I have lifted up your face in this thing to grant thy request. And Pharaoh ordered a proclamation to be issued throughout Egypt and Goshen, saying, To you, all the children of Israel, thus says the king, for 6 days you shall do your work and labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest. So Moses got them already in code, already resting on Shabbat, and shall not perform any work. Thus shall you do all the days, as the king and Moses, the son of Bathiah, have commanded. So he's thinking he's, in charge, giving this decree. Little do he know that Moshe got him back in the Creator's law. This is the Creator's decree. And Moses rejoiced at this thing that the king had granted him. And all the children of Israel did as Moses ordered them. For this thing was from HaWah to the children of Israel. For the Creator had begun to remember the children of Israel, Managah, to save them for the sake of their fathers, that covenant, that Dawid flow. Ain't it beautiful? Ain't it Baruch when HaWah begins to remember us, to remember you? What does it mean for HaWah to begin to remember, and for you to begin to remember the code, right? The code is in your heart bone. And HaWah was with Moses, and his fame went throughout Egypt. And Moses became great in the eyes of all the Egyptians and in the eyes of all the children of Israel, because he got them a day off. They able to rest for Shabbat. So they were loving Moses, seeking good for his people Israel, speaking words of peace regarding them. So he was always, looking out. And when Moses was 18, so this is all before he was 18, he desired to see his father and mother and went to them to Goshen. And when Moses had come near Goshen, he came to the place where the children of Israel were engaged in work, and he observed their burdens, and he saw an Egyptian smiting one of his Hebrew brethren. And when the man who was beaten saw Moses, and he ran to him for help, for the man Moses was greatly respected in the house of Pharaoh. And he said to him, My Lord, attend to me. This Egyptian came to my house in the night, bound me, and came to my wife in my presence. Man, that's horrible. And now he seeks to take away my life. So he took his wife. Now he wants to take his life. And when Moses heard this wicked thing, his anger was kindled against the Egyptian. This is when he was 18. And he turned this way and the other. And when he saw there was no man there, he smote the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Now, he took his life because he was out of code, because the, hijack was seeking the life of an innocent man, and he took his wife. So Moses wasn't really in the wrong, but yet it started a chain of events. So he delivered the Hebrew from the hand of him that smote him. To him he did the right thing, right? And the Hebrew went to his house, and Moses returned to his home and went forth and came back to the king's house. And when the man had returned home, he thought of repudiating his wife, for it was not right in the house of Jacob for any man to come to his wife after she had been defiled. And the woman went and told her brothers, and the woman's brothers sought to slay him, and he fled to his house and escaped. So that's how that went. And on the second day, Moses went forward to his brethren and saw, and behold, two men were quarreling. And he said to the wicked one, why dost thou smite thy neighbor? And he answered and said, who has set you for a prince and judge over us? Do you think you can slay me as you did slay the Egyptian? And Moses was afraid and said, surely the thing is known. And Pharaoh heard of this affair, and he ordered Moses to be slain. Whoa. So Pharaoh, who loves Moses, ordered him to be slain. This ain't like the Prince of Egypt story. The man who was like a father to him wanted his life, right? So HaWah sent a dragon, an angel, and he appeared unto Pharaoh in the likeness of a captain of the guard. You know how dragons could come in human form, right? Verse 10, and the angel of HaWah took the sword from the hand of another captain of the guard and took his head off with it. For the likeness of the other captain of the guard had been turned into the likeness of Moses. Whoa. Here come that magi flow. Afterward, the angel of HaWah took hold of the right hand of Moses and brought him forth from Egypt and placed him outside Egypt's borders at a distance of 40 days' journey. And Aaron, his brother, alone remained in the land of Egypt, and he prophesied to the children of Israel, saying, thus says HaWah, power of your ancestors. Throw away each man the abominations of his eyes. Do not defile yourselves with the idols of Egypt. This was the problem. The idols. False entities, false powers, false gods we worship. And the children of Israel rebelled and would not hearken to Aaron at that time. And HaWah thought to destroy them. Man, were it not that HaWah remembered the covenant which he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you Nagas would have been destroyed a long time ago, man. Especially nowadays with the covenant. If it wasn't for the covenant, HaWah has with David, a lot of you Nagas would be, I don't know how you can hate on David when it's the only thing keeping some of y'all alive with all your rebelliousness. Yeah, Halal HaWah. In those days, the hand of Pharaoh continued to be severe against the children of Israel, and he crushed and oppressed them until the time when HaWah sent forth his word and took notice of them. And it was in those days, chapter 72, that there was a great war between the children of Cush. All right, listen up. This is when it gets real interesting. It's a great war between the children of Cush and the children of the East and Aram. All right. So it's a war between Cush and the children of the East. Who's that? And Aram. And they rebelled against the king of Cush, in whose hands they were. So King Kikianus of Cush went forth with all the children of Cush, a people numerous as the sand, and he went to fight against Aram and the children of the east to bring them under subjection. And when Kikianus went out, he left the magician Balaam with his two sons to guard the city and the lowest sort of people of the land. So Kikianus went forth to Aram and the children of the east, and he fought against them and smote them, and they all fell down wounded before Kikianus and his people. And he took many of them captive, and he brought them under subjection as at first, and he encamped upon their land to take tribute from them as usual. And Balaam the son of Beor, when the king of Cush left him to guard the city, and the poor of the city rose up and advised the people of the land to rebel against King Kikianus, and not to let him enter the city when coming home. And the people of the land hearkened to him, and they swore to him and made him king over them, and his 2 sons for captains of the army. So they rose up and raised the walls of the city at the 2 corners, and they built an exceedingly strong building. And at the 3rd corner they dug ditches without number between the city and the river which surrounded the whole land of Cush. And they made the waters of the river burst forth there. In the 4th corner they collected numerous serpents by their incantations. Whoa. Are you saying they were collecting dragons, my noggin? With their magic, enchantments? They fortified the cities and dwelt therein, and without permission, no one went out or in before them, because they had these dragons, these quote unquote serpents, by their incantations. This is interesting. In verse 11, and Kikianus fought against Aram and the children of the east, and he subdued them as before, and they gave him their usual tribute. And he went out, and he went, Shalak, and returned to his land. And when King Kikianus of Cush approached his city together with all the captains of the forces, they lifted up their eyes and saw that the walls of the city were built up and greatly elevated. So the men were astonished at this, and they said to one another, "It is because they saw that we are delayed in the battle and were much concerned about us. Therefore have they done this thing and raised the city walls and fortified them, so that the kings of Canaan might not come in battle against them." So the king and the troops approached the city door, and they looked up, and behold, all the gates of the city were closed. And they called out to the sentinels, saying, "Open unto us, that we may enter the city." But the sentinels refused to open to them by order of the magician Balaam, their king. They suffered them not to enter the city. So they raised a battle against them opposite the city gate, and 130 men of the army of Kikianus fell on that day. And on the next day they continued to fight, and they fought at the side of the river. They endeavored to pass, but succeed. So some of them sank in the pits and died. So the king ordered them to cut down trees to make rafts upon which they might pass to them. And they did so. And when they came to the palace, or Shalat, the place of ditches, the waters revolved by mills, and 200 men upon 10 rafts were drowned. And on the 3rd day they came to fight at the side where the serpents were, but they could not approach there. So the serpents slew them. 170 men were slain by the dragon. And they ceased fighting against Cush. They besieged Cush for 9 years. No person came in or out. So Kikianus was caught up in a military coup. He was booted out his own spot. At that time, that the war and the siege were against Cush, Moses fled from Egypt from Pharaoh, who sought to kill him for having slain the Egyptian. And Moses was 18 years old when he fled from Egypt. So he was 18 because Pharaoh wanted his head for slaying the Egyptian that he was protecting. He was 18 when he fled and escaped to the camp of Kikianus. So while Kikianus is over there, trying to besiege this city, trying to besiege Cush, Moses fled to the camp of Kikianus, which at that time was besieging Cush. And Moses was 9 years in the camp of Kikianus of Cush. All right, so they're going through a military coup at Cush, right? Moses ends up teaming up with this Kikianus. This is a story they didn't tell us in our scriptures, right? In our Bibles, right? This is the book of Jasher, right? So all the time that they were besieging Cush, Moses went out and came in with them. And the king and princes and all the fighting men loved Moses, for he was great and worthy. His stature was like a noble lion. You better speak. You better put that respect on Moshe. You're talking about nobility. You're talking about a Khan, a priest, and a king. His stature was like a noble lion. His face was like the sun. Whoa. And his strength was like that of a lion. And he was counselor to the king. Verse 25. And at the end of 9 years, Kikianus was sieged by a mortal disease, and his illness prevailed over him, and he died on the 70th day, so that his servants embalmed him and carried him, buried him opposite the city gate to the north of the land of Egypt, and they built over him an elegant, strong, and high building, and they placed great stones below, and upon those stones the king's scribes engraved all the might of their king Kikianus, and all his battles he fought. Behold, they were written there at this day. Verse 29, now after the death of King Kikianus of Cush, it grieved his men and troops greatly on the account of this war. So they said to one another, give us counsel, what should we do at this time? As we have resided in the wilderness 9 years away from our homes, if we say we will fight against the city, many of us will fall wounded or killed. And if we remain here in the siege, we shall also die. For now all the kings of Aram and of the children of the east will hear that our king is dead, and they will attack us suddenly in a hostile manner, and they will fight against us and leave no remnant of us. Now, therefore, let us go and make a king over us, and let us remain in the siege until the city is delivered up to us. And they wished to choose on that day a man for king from the army of Kikianus, and they found no object of their choice like Moshe. So he's fleeing out of Egypt, gets caught up in this Cush siege, becomes their choice for a king because of his stature, right? To reign over them. And they hastened and stripped off the garments of each man and cast them upon the ground, and they made a great heap and placed Moses thereon. This is how Moses becomes the king of Cush. Yeah, man. King, not the prophet Moses you're used to. This is all pre-prophet stuff, right? This is all him just getting out himself out of Egypt before he goes back to Egypt. Verse 36, they rose up, blew trumpets, called out before him and said, may the king live, may the king live. And all the people and nobles swore unto him to give him for a wife Queen Adoniah, the Cushite wife of Kikianus, and they made Moses king over them on that day. And it says later that Moses never, went into her. Like he never procreated. He, he never got with her, you know what I'm saying? And therefore she complained, and, they had some vote that he wasn't a real Cushite, so he got an honorable discharge. But how long was he king of Cush? Let's keep reading. And the people of all And all the people of Cush ensued a proclamation on that day, saying, every man must give something to Moses of what is in his possession. And they spread out a sheet upon the heap, and every man cast into it something of what he had, one of a gold earring, or another a coin, also onyx stones, bdellium, pearls, and marble did the children of Cush cast unto Moses unto the heap, also silver and gold in great abundance. And Moses took all the silver and gold, all the vessels, bdellium, onyx stones, which all the children of Cush had given him, and he placed them among his treasures. And Moses reigned over the children of Cush on that day, in the place of King Kikianus of Cush, in the 50th year of the reign of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that is, in the 157th year of the Israelites going down into Egypt. Reigned Moses in Cush. Moses was 27 years old when he began to reign over Cush, and 40 years did he reign. Okay, we kept reading and we got right to it. 40 years did Moses reign as the king of Cush. That's a long time to be the king of Cush, man. And HaWah granted Moses favor and grace in the eyes of all the children of Cush. So how can the Cushite, if the Moors and Moabites and they're doing it for Ham and Cush, how can they front on the 40 years that Moses gave them that HaWah was rocking with? They needed an Israelite Khan, and HaWah granted Moses favor and grace in the eyes of the children of Cush, and the children of Cush loved him. You don't got no love for Moshe? Ain't nobody checking for Moses? All that love you had, you weren't checking for him? So Moses was favored by HaWah and by men. And in the 70th day of his reign, all the children of Cush assembled and became before Moses and bowed down to him to the ground. And all the children spoke together in the presence of the king, saying, give us counsel, that we may see what is to be done to this city. For it is now 9 years that we have been besieging round about the city, and have not seen our children and our wives. So the King Moshe, answered them, saying, if you will hearken to my voice and all that I shall command you, then will HaWah, not their false gods, HaWah, not their fallen idols, the creator, the breath, the security, will give the city into our hands, and we shall subdue it. For if we fight against them, as in the former battle, which we had with them before the death of Kikianus, many of us will fall down wounded as before. Now therefore, behold, here is counsel for you in this matter. If you will hearken to my voice, then the city will be delivered into our hands. So all the forces answered the king, saying, all that our Lord shall command, that will we do. And Moses said to them, pass through and proclaim a voice in the whole camp unto all the people, saying, thus says the king, go into the forest and bring with you of the young ones of the stork, each man a young one in his hand. And any person transgressing the word of the king, who shall not bring with him a young one, he shall die. And the king will take all belonging to him, and when you shall bring them, they shall be in your keeping. You shall rear them until they grow up, and you shall teach them to dart upon, as in the way of the young ones of the hawk. So all the children of Cush heard the words of Moses. They rose up, caused a proclamation to be issued throughout the camp, saying, unto you, all the children of Cush, the king's orders that you go all together to the forest, catch there the young storks, each man his young one in his hand, and you shall bring them home. Any person violating the order of the king shall die, and the king will take all that belongs to him. And all the people did so, and they went, and the king, they went out to the wood, and they climbed the fir trees and caught each man a young one in his hand. So they got a bunch of storks, all right? They brought them into the desert, reared them by order of the king, and they taught them to dart upon, similar to the young hawks. And after the young storks were reared, the king ordered them to be hungered for 3 days. And all the people did so. And on the 3rd day the king said unto them, strengthen yourselves and become valiant men, and put on each man his armor, and gird on his sword upon him. Gird his sword upon him, and ride each man his horse, and take each his young stork in his hand. And we will rise up and fight against the city at that place where the serpents are. And all the people did as the king ordered, and they took each man his young one in his hand, and they went away. And when they came to the place of the serpents, the king said to them, send forth each man his young stork upon the serpents. And they sent forth each man his young stork at the king's order. And the young storks ran upon the serpents, and they devoured them all, and destroyed them out of that place. And when the king and people had seen that all the serpents were destroyed in that place, all the people set up a great shout. So maybe these were some snakes if they're getting snatched up by storks, you know what I mean? Verse 25, and they approached and fought against the city and took it and subdued it. And they entered the city, and there died on that day 1,100 men of the people of the city, all that inhabited the city. But of the people besieging, not one died. So all the children of Cush went each to his home, to his wife, his children, and to all belonging to him. So they finally got through. They finally broke the siege on the serpent side. And Balaam the magician, when he saw that the city was taken, opened the gate. And he and his 2 sons and 8 brothers fled, returned to Egypt, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt. They are the sorcerers and magicians mentioned in the book of the law, standing against Moses when HaWah brought the plagues upon Egypt. Did you hear that part of the story? This Tanahk only session. Yeah, so the ones that opened the gate and fled, those are the ones, you know what I'm saying, when Moses is doing all the magic and they're standing against Moses, those are them. So we're connecting it to the popular script, right? So Moses took the city by his wisdom, and the children of Cush placed him on the throne instead of King Kikianus of Cush, and they placed a royal crown upon his head, and they gave him for wife Adoniah, the Cushite queen, the former wife of Kikianus, all right? And Moses feared HaWah of his fathers, so that he came not to her, right? That was against his code, nor did he turn his eyes to her. You know what I mean? That was, that was another man's wife, right? So that was against his code. For Moses remembered how Abraham had made his servant Eleazar swear, saying to him, thou shalt not take a woman from the daughters of Canaan, for my son Isaac. Also what Isaac did when Jacob had fled from his brother, when he commanded them, saying, thou shalt not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan, nor make alliance with any of the children of Ham. For the Lord, for HaWah, gave Ham, the son of Noah, and his children and all his seed as slaves to the children of Shem. Yeah, this is why they mad. That's very clear. Did we read this part of the story? All this Ham and Cush on their Mexim maps. This is why they mad. This is why they are confederate against the seeds of Jacob, right? Because the children of Shem, by order, have them as their slaves. Ham, the son of Noah, and his children, and all his seed. Remember the story about the nakedness and all that, man? So, yeah, they are the servants of Shem, though they be dwelling and hiding in the tents of Shem, right? And to the children of Japheth, and unto their seed after them for slaves, forever, boss, forever. Order or chaos, you choose. Therefore Moshe turned not his heart nor his eyes to the wife of Kikianus. Khan. He had to keep that oath all the days that he reigned over Cush. And Moses feared that HaWah is power, or feared HaWah's power, or respected HaWah, kept the code all his life. And Moses walked before HaWah in truth with all his heart and soul. He turned not from the right way all the days of his life. He declined not from the way either to the right or the left, which is interesting, why he was told to stop right there at Mount Nebo, even though his natural force was never reduced. So it's a lot of questions, being answered. So, but according to the book of Jasher, he walked perfectly. Didn't turn to the right or left, in which Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had walked. And Moses strengthened himself in the kingdom of the children of Cush, and he guided the children of Cush with his usual wisdom. And Moses prospered in his kingdom. And at that time, Aram and the children of the east heard that King Kikianus of Cush had died. So Aram and the children of the east rebelled against Cush in those days. And Moses gathered all the children of Cush and a people very mighty, about 30,000 men, and he went forth to fight against Aram and the children of the east. And they were at first to the children of the east. They went at first to the children of the east, and when the children of the east heard their report, they went to meet them and engaged in battle with them. And the war was severe against the children of the east. So HaWah gave all the children of the east into the hand of Moshe, and about 300 men fell down slain. And all the children of the east turned back and retreated. So Moses and the children of Cush followed them and subdued them and put a tax upon them, as was their custom. So Moshe and all the people with him passed from there to the land of Aram for battle. And the people of Aram also went to meet them, and they fought against them, and HaWah delivered them into the hands of Moses. And many of the men of Aram fell down, wounded. And Aram was also subdued by Moses and the people of Cush, and also gave their usual tax. And Moshe brought Aram and the children of the east under subjection to the children of Cush, and Moses and all the people who were with him turned to the land of Cush. And Moses strengthened himself in the kingdom of the children of Cush, and HaWah was with him, and all the children of Cush feared him. Man, in the end of the years of Saul died. All right, so you got David popping off, king of Edom. So Saul is saying the king of Edom. And Baal Canaan, or Lord Canaan, the son of Akbar, reigned in his place. In the 16th year of the reign of Moses over Cush. Balaam Canaan, the son of Akbor, started to reign in the land of Edom over the children of Edom, which he did for 38 years. In his days, Moab rebelled against the power of Edom, having been under Edom since the days of Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote them in Midian and brought Moab under subjection to Edom. And when Baal Canaan, the son of Akbar, reigned over Edom, all the children of Moab withdrew their allegiance from Edom, and King Angas of Africa died in those days. Now, which is this Africa, or is this another Africa? You don't really see Africa pop up in the script, right? You don't really see Africa pop up. We got to research this King Angas of Africa, man. He died in those days, and his son Asdrubal reigned in his stead. And in those days, Janias died, king of the children of Shittim, and they buried him in his temple, and he built for himself in the plain of Canopia for a residence, and Latinus reigned in his stead. Does this got anything to do with the Latinos? Do the Latinos have anything to do with Latinas or the Latins? I mean, it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy, man. I'm skipping ahead a little bit into, Moses. He pops off. So 76, let's get it. This is a story that many people just don't talk about, like they should, man. Moses, the son of Amram, was still king in the land of Cush in those days. And he prospered in his kingdom, and he conducted the government of the children of Cush in justice and righteousness and integrity. And all the children of Cush loved Moshe all the days that he reigned over them. Nobody got no dispute over that. Righteousness, integrity. And all the inhabitants of the land of Cush greatly feared him. And in the 40th year of the reign of Moses over Cush, Moses was sitting on a royal throne while Queen Adoniah was before him, and all the nobles were sitting around him. And the Queen Adoniah said before the king and the princes, "What is this thing which you, the children of Cush, have done for such a long time? Surely you know that for the 40 years this man has reigned over Cush, he has not approached me." So she's talking about her bedroom business, man. She's talking about her bedroom business in public. Oh, he ain't even approached me. Moses ain't even approached me. Nor has he served the gods of the children of Cush. Nor has he worshipped any false idols. Now therefore hear, O you children of Cush, and let this man no more reign over you, as he is not of our flesh. So he don't worship our gods, and he's not trying to, push up on me and give me any more Cushite Hebrew children. So behold, my son Manachris is grown up. Let him reign over you, for it is better for you to serve the son of your Lord than to serve a stranger. So she want him out of there because she got a personal gripe because Moses don't want her. Moses don't want her. So don't serve this stranger, a slave of the king of Egypt. And all the people of the nobles and the children of Cush heard the words which Queen Adoniah had spoken in their ears, and all the people were preparing the accession unto evening. In the morning they rose up early and made Menachris, son of Kikianus, king over them. And the children of Cush would not dare to stretch forth their hand against Moses, for Hawah was with Moses. And the children of Cush remembered the oath which they had sworn to Moses. Therefore, they did no harm to him. But instead, the children of Cush gave many presents to Moses, so they gave him an honorable discharge. They gave him, they said, man, we got to do this because it does make sense to have our own people reign over us. But we love you. We respect you. Here's some presents. And sent him from them with great honor, honorable discharge, right? So Moses went forth from the land of Cush and went to find a home and ceased to reign over Cush. So that's when he left being a king for 40 years with prosperity. The greatest most prosperous time of Cush is under Moses. I need you to get that through your mind, bone. The most prosperity Cush had is under Moshe, all right? And Moses was 66 years old, all right? He was 66 years old when he stopped being a king of Cush. This is before Exodus, man. And Moses was 66 years old when he went out from the land of Cush, for the thing was from HaWah. He understood HaWah needed him for something better. For the period had arrived which he had appointed in the days of old, to bring forth Israel from the affliction of the children of Ham. They call him by name in the book of Josh. Yeah, the Hamites had us afflicted, right? All right. So Moses knew it was his time. So all that was preparation. That was 40 years of preparation to pop off. So Moses went to Midian, beyond the supervised region of Egypt, for he was afraid to return to Egypt on account of Pharaoh. And he went and he sat at the well of water in Midian, and the 7 daughters of Reuel, the Midianite, all right, this is Jethro, all right, went out to feed their father's flock. They came to the well, drew the water to water their father's flock. So the shepherds of Midian came and drove them away, and Moses rose up and helped them and watered the flock. And they came home to their father Reuel, told him what Moses did for them. And they said, an Egyptian man has delivered us from the hands of the shepherds. He drew up water for us and watered the flock. And Reuel said to his daughters, where is he? Wherefore have you left the man? And Reuel sent for him, fetched him, and brought him home. And he ate bread with him. And Moses related to Reuel that he had fled from Egypt, and that he reigned 40 years over Cush, and that they afterward had taken the government from him and had sent him away in peace with honor and with presents, honorable discharge. And when Reuel heard the words of Moses, Reuel said within himself, I will put this man into the prison, into the prison house, whereby I shall conciliate the children of Cush, for he has fled from them. So he thought Moses was lying. He thought he was a liar, that he was fleeing from Cush without the honorable discharge. For he has fled from them, and they took him and put him into the prison house. And Moses was in prison 10 years, man. All because Reuel didn't believe him that he was the king of Cush and had an honorable discharge. And while Moses was in the prison house, in the dungeon, Zipporah, the daughter of Reuel, took pity over him and supported him with bread and water all the time. So even though he left him for dead, Zipporah gave him that water all the time. And all the children of Israel were yet in the land of Egypt, serving the Egyptians in all manner of hard work. And the hand of Egypt continued in severity over the children of Israel in those days. And at the time, HaWah smote Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he afflicted him with the plague of leprosy from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. Owing to the cruel treatment of the children of Israel was this plague at the time from HaWah upon Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Verse 26, for HaWah hearkened to the prayer of his people, the children of Israel, and their cry reached him on account of their hard work. Still his anger did not turn from them, and the hand of Pharaoh was still stretched out against his children, or against the children of Israel. And Pharaoh hardened his neck before HaWah, and he increased his yoke over the children of Israel, and embittered their lives with all manners of hard work. And when HaWah had inflicted the plague upon Pharaoh, king of Egypt, he asked his wise men and sorcerers to cure him. And his wise men and sorcerers said unto him, that if the blood of little children, it sounds like what they doing today, right? Adrenochrome, all that sickness, all that Samhain, Halloween, trick-or-treat sickness. The blood of little children were put into the wounds, he would be healed. And Pharaoh hearkened to them and sent his ministers to Goshen to the children of Israel to take their little children. Ain't this happening today? Halal HaWah for our children. Halal HaWah for our children. And Pharaoh's ministers went and took the infants, of the children of Israel from the bosoms of their mothers by force, and they brought them to the Pharaohs daily, a child each day, and the physicians killed them and applied their blood to the plague. Thus did they do all these days, and the number of the children which Pharaoh slew was 375. Do you think it's play? Pharaoh slew 375 infants, but HaWah hearkened not to the physicians of the king of Egypt, and the plague went on increasing mightily, and Pharaoh was 10 years afflicted with that plague. They're killing the babies. 10 years afflicted with the plague. Still the heart of Pharaoh was more hardened against the children of Israel. And at the end of the 10 years, HaWah continued to afflict Pharaoh with destructive plagues. And HaWah smote him with a bad tumor and a sickness at the stomach. And that plague turned to a severe boil. Sound like what happened to Colombo, man. And at that time, the two ministers of Pharaoh came from the land of Goshen, where all the children of Israel were, and went to the house of Pharaoh and said to him, we have seen the children of Israel slacking in their work, negligent in their labor. And when Pharaoh heard the words of the ministers, his anger was kindled against the children of Israel exceedingly, for he was greatly grieved at this bodily pain. And he answered and said, now the children of Israel know that I am ill. They turn and scoff at us. Now therefore harness my chariot for me, and I will betake myself to Goshen, and will see the scoff of the children of Israel with which they are deriding me. So his servants harnessed the chariot for him, and they took and made him ride upon a horse, for he was not able to ride himself. And he took with them 10 horsemen, 10 footmen, and went to the children of Israel in Goshen. And when they had come to the border of Egypt, the king's horse passed into a narrow place, elevated in the hollow part of the vineyard, fenced on both sides, the low plain country being on the other side. And the horse ran rapidly in that place and pressed each other. The horses ran rapidly, pressed each other, and the other horses pressed the king's horse, and the king's horse fell into the low plain while the king was riding it. And when he fell, the chariot turned over the king's face, and the horse lay upon the king. And the king cried out, for his flesh was very sore, and the flesh of the king was torn from him, and his bones were broken, and he could not ride. For this thing was from HaWah to him. For HaWah had heard the cries of the people and the children of Israel, and seeing their affliction, and his servants carried him upon their shoulders a little at a time, and they brought him back to Egypt, and the horsemen who were with him also came back to Egypt. So they coming at, you know, they're coming, in maximum hijack form, coming to, bring more harm on the children of Israel. Let's pick it up from here. And Moses, the son of Amram, was still confined in the dungeon. So let's back it up. Verse 22, we're in chapter 77. And the children of Israel sighed every day on account of their heavy work, for they had said to themselves, behold, when Pharaoh dies, his son will rise up and lighten our work. But they increased the latter work more than the former, and the children of Israel sighed at this. I mean, this is what we're going through today, my naga. Working for these people, no land. And HaWah heard the voice of the children of Israel, made their cry in those days. And HaWah remembered to them his covenant which he had made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And HaWah saw the burden of the children of Israel, their heavy work in those days. He determined to deliver them. And Moses, the son of Amram, was still confined in the dungeon in those days in the house of Reuel the Midianite. And Zipporah, the daughter of Reuel, secretly supported him with food day by day. And Moses was confined in the dungeon in the house of Reuel for 10 years. And at the end of the 10 years, which was the first year of the reign of Pharaoh over Egypt in the place of his father, Zipporah said to her father, Reuel, listen up. Nobody's checking for Moshe. No person inquires or seeks after the Hebrew man. Nobody is checking for Moses. Only Zipporah. Secretly giving him that water. Other than her, nobody's checking for him. We got a lot of victimized Nagas today, feeling like someone should be checking for them. But no one was checking after the Hebrew man, whom thou didst bind in prison now for 10 years. Now therefore, if it seem good in your sight, let us send a servant and see whether he is living or dead. But her father knew not that she had supported him. He left Moses for dead. And Reuel, her father, answered and said to her, has ever such a thing happened, that a man should be shut up in a prison without food for 10 years and should live? And Zipporah answered, saying, surely thou hast heard that the God of the Hebrews, the power of Hasharah, is great and awful, and does wonders for them at all times. At all times, Managa, including these times. Wakey, wakey. It was him who delivered Abraham from Ur of the Chaldeans. Ur in Hebrew is also a fire. Fire of the Chaldeans, which alludes to the oven into which Abraham was thrown. Remember, he was unscathed by the fire. And Isaac from the sword of his father, and Jacob from the dragon of HaWah who wrestled with him at the ford of Jabbok. With this man too he has done many things. He delivered him from the river in Egypt, and from the word of Pharaoh, and from the children of Cush. So also can he deliver him from famine and make him live. Zipporah got the drop. And you never know who HaWah's going to use to give you that water. when no one else is checking for the man. When no one else is checking for Moshe. No person inquires or seeks after the Hebrew man. Nobody's checking. Yet everybody loves him, right? Everybody in Cush love him. He helped out the Israelites. They love him, but nobody is checking for him. You know what I mean? And somehow he still got that water, you know. He still had his queen. You know, HaWah will send that water to you, but you got to be willing to, have your faith tested and be on the front line of it, and not be afraid of no one checking for you, knowing that you got the water, knowing that you ain't cold. And the things seemed good in the sight of Reuel, verse 35, and he did according to the word of his daughter, and he sent a servant to the dungeon to ascertain what had become of Moses. And he saw, and behold, the man Moses was living in the dungeon. Hey, Moses popping off, standing upon his feet, praising and praying to HaWah. Praising and praying to HaWah. And Reuel commanded Moshe to be brought out the dungeon. So they shaved him, and he changed his prison garments, ate bread, and afterwards Moses went into the garden of Reuel, which was behind his house, and there he prayed to HaWah's power, who has done mighty wonders for him. And it was while he prayed, he looked opposite, and behold, the sapphire staff. We covered this before, man. This is the staff that was passed down from Adam, all through Abraham, and Joseph had it. Like, everyone had the magic stick, man. Everyone had to press the staff. And they also said, that this sapphire could be connected with the firmament, the crystal sapphire firmament, and that all this is, connected with the same sapphire stone. Either way, it's what they use. It's what Moses used. It's what Joshua used to part the waters. We're talking technology. And it had to be grounded in the garden of Reuel, which was planted in the midst of the garden. He approached the stick and he looked, and behold, the name of HaWah was engraved, written and developed upon the stick. And he read it and stretched forth his hand, and he plucked it like a forest tree from the thicket. This is like the King Arthur, right? Pulling the sword out of the stone. He plucked the sapphire staff from the ground like a forest tree from a thicket. And the stick was in his hand, the staff. This is how he started rocking with his staff when he went back to Egypt. And remember, the staff turned into a dragon. And this was the stick with which all the works of HaWah were performed. All the works of the Creator were performed after he had created heaven and earth. HaWah used his staff. HaWah was using his staff. All the host of them, seas, rivers, and all their fish. And when HaWah had driven Adam from the Garden of Eden, he took the stick in his hand and went and tilled the ground. So Adam took the same staff HaWah used when he created the heaven and the earth, my nine. Huh? The same staff. That's crazy. I mean, that's amazing. The same staff HaWah used to create the heaven and the earth, and all the host of them, all the seas, all the rivers, all the fish. So Adam took that creation staff. This is the staff of creation. What's it got to do with the firmament, my nigga? This is the real magic stick, man. It's the real magi stick. And when HaWah driven Adam from the Garden of Eden, Adam took this stick. Adam had this staff and tilled the ground. Then the staff came down to Noah. Noah had the staff. Sapphire staff. And was given to Shem, not Ham, not Japheth. Shem had the staff and his descendants until it came into the hand of Abraham. So Abraham had the staff. You know Lot was covetous. You know Lot wanted that staff. You know Moab wanted that staff. And when Abraham had given it all he had to his son Isaac, he had gave him the stick, the staff. Isaac had the staff. And when Jacob had fled to Padan Aram, Jacob had the staff. When he returned to his father, he had not left it behind him. He still had the staff when Jacob returned back to Isaac. And he took it in his hand. And when he returned to his father, he had not left it behind him. Also, when he went down to Egypt, he took it into his hand and gave it to Joseph. Joseph had the staff, one portion above his brethren, for Jacob had taken it by force from his brother Esau, because Esau wanted the staff. But it wasn't his staff to have, because Jacob couldn't have a staff that wasn't meant for him. That's why no one else could pluck the sapphire staff out the forest or out of the garden of Jethro or Reuel, because it has to go in the right hands. Jacob had to take it by force from Esau. Esau didn't want to give up that birthright. And after the death of Joseph, and the nobles of Egypt came into the house of Joseph, the staff came into the hand of Reuel, the Midianite. And when he went out of Egypt, he took it in his hand and planted it in the garden. And all the mighty men of the Kenites tried to pluck it out when they endeavored to get Zipporah, his daughter, but they did not succeed. Therefore the staff remained planted in the garden. Like King Arthur, everyone tried to pluck it out. No one could take the sword out. This is where they're getting the story from. Therefore the stick remained planted in the garden of Reuel until the one, who? The one, Managi. The one came, right? Who had the right to it. Someone needed the right to the staff. Who had a right to it and took it. You know, Jacob couldn't have the staff if he didn't have a right to it. It had to be the one. And when Reuel saw this stick in his hand of Moses, he wondered at it, and he gave him his daughter Zipporah for a wife. Hey, Moses already had Zipporah. She was already bringing him that water. But this confirmed it for her pops. He had the staff, and he got his queen. And all that happened before Moses, popped in and, came to the rescue of the children of Israel. This is pure water flowing. Just like the staff continues to flow. Just like the tribe continues to flow. It's pure water flowing for the tribe. There's no way that, they can have what's yours forever. This is the truth. There's no way they can hijack us forever, my nigga. There's no way they can hijack us forever. They weren't checking for Moses, but that water still got to them. They might not be checking for us, But the water still gets to us no matter who it's coming from. And as long as we're in cold, just like with Moshe, we got favored, just like he was favored and got, saved out the hands of the Cushites who could have killed him. Pharaoh could have killed him. Those waters at birth, they trying to kill him at birth. When it's in HaWah's plan, we come together and there's nothing that can, form against us, man. There's nothing that can succeed against you as a tribe, not as black people, but as the tribe of Hasherah, the tribe of the promise, the tribe of the covenant, the tribe, the remnant, the promise. That staff still exists, and it will be revealed. And Moses is still left unabated. His eyes are not dim, nor his natural force reduced. He's in suspended animation. Ain't nobody checking for Moses. But that water continues. Halal HaWah for the water. Halal HaWah that the water flows through you, my tribe. Halal HaWah, for our Creator, bringing together our Shabbatah and that mem sauce to continue for the copper color con. Just remembering who we are, tribing up, enjoying our flow, and dodging all hijacks at all costs. The water for tuning in, my cons. We enjoy flowing into Tanahk only sessions. This has been a special one, connecting the Moshe flow, the Priest King flow, the Prester flow. Look out for us, man. Halal HaWah. Shabbat Shalom.